Hey everyone, thank you for watching Eternal Life Plan. I'm your host, Christine Harrington. And before we get into the subject, I just want to remind everyone that the Israeli cardinal, and forgive me, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his name right, so I won't, along with Pope Francis, has asked that we be in today as a day of prayer and fasting. And Flame of Love is saying that we should fast with bread and water until 6 p.m. this evening. So I just wanted to start with that, and let's keep all of everyone in our prayers today and ask God to help us for peace. Of course, we know peace is never going to come until the world turns back towards God instead of away from Him. So I just wanted to start with that. Now, about the email. Oh my. I couldn't put it all in, but I wanted to share with you what happened. And today, and if you're on Priest for Life email list, you would have gotten a campaign letter for fundraising from them. And so I emailed them back and I said, you support exceptions and limits. That is not pro-life. You keep trying to spin President Trump as pro-life when he has the same abortion stance as Robert Kennedy Jr., who calls himself pro-choice. We know that pro-life is protection for the unborn from conception to birth and after. It's disappointing to see you compromise. It makes the pro-life movement look bad and it delights Satan. I pray you return to pro-life. And let me make it clear, I'm not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I believe Priests for Life has done excellent work in the pro-life arena. As I said yesterday, though, I have seen Priests for Life and other organizations that claim that they're pro-life go down this slippery slope now because Trump has now changed his position on abortion, yet still calls himself pro-life. And the email that I got back, I really wasn't expecting an email, but I did get an email back from their correspondence and public outreach associate. And she begins by saying, Dear Christine, let me begin by assuring you that Pavone has always agreed and proclaimed that all babies in the womb must be protected from conception. Then she gives an example in 2001, and then she gives an article about after the 15-week bill was introduced. So she gave me that as well. That's on LifeSite News. I've seen all of this. And she goes on to say, so there's no doubt about that. Protecting babies, with the exception of those conceived from rape or incest, is a step towards the goal, not the final goal. Okay. As you know, a bill cannot become law until a majority of the lawmakers agree. Because all the babies in the womb are persons, if the lawmakers agree to protect some of them today, we have to protect them without delay. These babies can't afford to wait for the lawmakers to decide to protect the others. We save now those whom we can save, and we don't stop working to save the rest. Okay. Okay, I agree with that. Just don't call it a pro-life legislation. I get that there has to be compromises in legislation. Just don't call it pro-life because it's not. You know, before Roe versus Wade was reversed, all states had limits on abortion. They all did. You know, some had them, and I believe it was California, and I meant to look this up before I did this broadcast. But what happened after Roe versus Wade is that it threw it back to the states, and states began to limit more of abortions. So I think in Indiana, it went from 16 weeks to 12 weeks, but the limits were still there. And if you're going to have limits, that's not pro-choice, or that's not pro-life, that's pro-choice. Don't call these bills pro-life bills, because they're not. She goes on to say, the pro-abortion forces want everything, and unfortunately, until now, they have already had everything, abortion on demand. We are pushing back on that as far and as fast as we can. We want everything too, and as a movement, we will get there. You can view Frank Pavone's video about Trump's comments concerning the heartbeat law, and she gives the YouTube channel. And you can also listen to his comments on Jenna Wilson, shown here. I will put all these links in the description area below when the live stream is finished. But here is the kicker for me, and I'm going to display this on the screen. Here's the kicker for me. Her next is, however, I understand your distress when it comes to Trump. It seems that he is not as, I don't know what she means by he is not as pro-life as we initially thought he was, but we have a moral obligation to vote for the candidate who is more pro-life. We must choose to vote for the one understands that helping the public is not killing the public. Priests for Life will always be on the side of the pro-life candidate. And this is really the problem. As she says, it seems that, and I've highlighted it in yellow, he is not as pro-life. What do you mean as pro-life? You're either pro-life, protecting the baby from conception to birth, or you're pro-choice. So even in this email, it was disappointing to see that they're even spinning it as, not as pro-life. I don't understand that. Does anybody have any comments about this? I would love to know your opinion. Hugh says, thanks for your transmission. Thank you, Hugh. I appreciate it. And Hugh says, Trump got us Dobbs. I totally agree with that. Trump got the Supreme Court nominations that were very positive for the pro-life movement. I've got no qualms with that. My position is, don't spin Trump as a pro-life candidate when he clearly is not a pro-life candidate. I'm never going to tell you who to vote for, because the pure pro-life people, because apparently now we have degrees in the pro-life movement. There's degrees of pro-life, which never was in the past. There was never, ever different levels of being pro-life. Apparently they are now, which tells you how much the pro-life movement has compromised. But as I said yesterday, there's only one candidate, Tim Scott, that is pro-life, and he isn't going to win. He isn't going to win. And I agree, you have to vote for the candidate that's going to protect babies the most, but you just can't call them pro-life. And that is the problem I have with Priests for Life, is because they keep spinning Trump as pro-life, and he is not. He is now a pro-choice candidate. He may call himself pro-life, but when you allow for exceptions and when you allow for term limits on abortions, you're no better than Joe Biden. And we all know what a disaster that is. Yes, Trump took away federal funding to Planned Parenthood. That was a good thing. But now he's changed his position. And we all have to acknowledge that. He's changed his position. I'm grateful that Priests for Life responded to my email. I did not expect them to, but they did, and I'm grateful that they did. But when they say not as pro-life, that bothers me a lot, because it was never my understanding that you're either pro-life or not as pro-life. I've never heard that before. I'd be fine if they said, well, he's moved away from his original stance on abortion and he's now more pro-choice. I'd be fine with that. But that's not what they're saying. They're trying to spin it as if he's still pro-life. So I don't want to keep beating this dead horse. What do you guys think? You tell me in the comments. Am I wrong here? Because if I am, I'd love to know. Tell me. I would love to know. So she goes on to say, I encourage you to do research when you get closer to the presidential election. I do my research. Believe me, I do my research. And I know she doesn't know that. She doesn't know me from Adam. So, that's good that they're putting in here links that people can do research. And she says, our mission is ending abortion and healing the emotional, spiritual wounds of those who have participated in the death of children in the womb. In our pro-life political action, we highlight those candidates that offer the best hope of advancing the pro-life cause and protecting preborn children. And she goes on to say, however, the vast majority of our resources go to informing and equipping volunteers to help educate voters and increase their participation in elections. Well, absolutely. We should be all doing that, right? We should all be doing that. And then she says, we also devote considerable resources in staffing to supporting our abortion healing work in the International Ministry of Rachel's Vineyard. Now, of course, she doesn't know that I'm involved in Rachel's Vineyard. I'm a facilitator for Rachel's Vineyard. So, that's about the gist of her email. And I am grateful that she responded. But ladies and gentlemen, I just want to go right back to that. It seems that Trump is not as pro-life. There is no as pro-life. You're either pro-life or you're pro-choice. And as I said yesterday, I'm seeing this a lot in the pro-life movement, where people are twisting themselves into pretzels trying to make Trump now sound pro-life, and he's not. He is now clearly pro-choice. So, any comments about that? Does anybody see this the same way that I do? I would love to know in your comments. And Hugh, if you're still there, I would love to know what you think about that too. I appreciate you all for watching and for staying tuned in on this, because I think this is a dangerous time the pro-life movement is in. They are now compromising their positions, compromising their positions. And some pro-life influencers I've even noticed has moved away from Trump since he has put this out there about limits, about abortion limits. So, what do you guys think? I mean, I just feel like the Catholic Church is doing all these compromises now. Now the pro-life movement is doing all these compromises. Where does it end? Where does the compromises end? Where's it end? Just like there's only one true apostolic church, the Catholic Church. You can't compromise the truth. And you can't compromise the truth about pro-life. So that's what I wanted to bring with you today, I wanted you to hear this statement that I received from Priests for Life. I'm grateful that they responded to me. I'm disappointed about what they said in that one line. It seems that he is not be as pro-life as we initially thought he was. All right. So call it what it really is and quit trying to spin it. That's all I'm saying. Quit trying to spin it. Call it for what it really is. Priests for Life does great work. I am not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but let's get clear about what's going on. Let's get clear about the language, and let's not try to spin all of this to make Trump look like, he's as pro-life as he was when he was president before, because he clearly is not. And he is hoping that his supporters that are pro-life are going to spin it to make him look pro-life. You can't. You can't. If you're for limits and exceptions, then you're not pro-life. You're now pro-choice, just like all the other candidates. So, all right, everyone. If I have any more news about this, I will make sure and let you know. I appreciate you all watching. God bless you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. And keep Israel in your prayers, right? Bye-bye. Peace. We need peace. Bye-bye.